It is the RIOT podcast.
Hudson is filling in for Obi today.
It's
me.
Yes, it was such a good time.
Hey, I always enjoy having you in.
It's fun getting, it's not as fun getting up early.
Sure.
But it is fun
leaving
getting home early.
And it's interesting to hear Hudson's take on things. So I'm always just used to Obi's.
Yeah.
Or like my own take on something. But I do think in this one, you were maybe a little bit more negative.
I was about to say that, but I was thinking, sometimes I listen and I think, Obadiah's a little negative.
Oh, he hates everything.
And then, but now I kind of get it, because it's not that. It's just once you start talking about things, and the more you talk about it, you're like, wait, and it all winds up being negative. It's not that you have a negative outlook at first, but the more you look into it, the more negative you get.
The show brings it out in you, and then you're like, oh, here's another story and another story. And before you know it, you've been negative for several hours, and it can't help but take its toll. But I did laugh this morning because I thought we got a little bit more of that side to Hudson than we normally do.
Let's think about what we can be positive about.
We have a podcast. That's number one.
How about what were we positive about? Well, you really are happy about the Animal Crossing Build-A-Bear situation.
I am, but then we were negative about the pricing structure.
That's right.
It's so expensive to do that.
Down.
We were positive about the stimulus checks coming.
How can you not?
And then negative about, what your last comment was like, the next pandemic. Shouldn't we save it?
I ruined that one.
So you'll just hear a lot of closing statements.
Yeah,
but,
it always has to end on a sour note.
That is it.
You can just go through it yourself and hear all the negativity, but try to see the positive in it.
The positive in it. Yeah. We talk about Instagram Lite. We talk about the stuntman, because you have to include that. Yep. The stuntman in California who sat in his favorite restaurant's beans for 24 hours to try to drum up support to make sure that they can stay around, which was a nice story.
Do you think canceling the daylight saving time situation, were we positive or negative about that?
We're positive it should happen.
Yeah,
but
right.
I mean,
it would be a positive if they did it.
If it actually did. They talked about it's a bipartisan, they're saying that to make it seem like it'll happen.
Right.
But it's a bipartisan thing. So we will talk about that in the podcast, because we do change times this weekend.
Yeah.
And they don't want us to have us change times, but they've been trying to stop that for a long time.
Yeah. And even they can get all these other things done. I feel like it would be easier.
Wait, are we going to go negative?
It would be easier to pass the daylight savings time change than it would be to pass all these checks they've given us. And yet,
the checks are happening, but here's
and
this.
The daylight savings time
There must be something in politics where there's something about this one where there's enough people who won't pass it, I don't know.
It's just too simple. It makes too much sense for them to do it.
Well, it's too much for us, and they don't want to give us too much.
Right. We can't be too happy.
Yep.
Then what would this show even be?
There's negative. All right. So enjoy the podcast today and remain positive. Yep. We'll see if Obi makes it back in tomorrow. If not, maybe Hudson will come back in.
Maybe.
And definitely enjoy the podcast today, though. Say hello. Text 877 to RadioU, or join us at RadioU Riot on Facebook.
Or on TikTok.
Yeah, RadioU
official.
You can do that there. Everybody have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
The riot isn't all bad, but this is the worst of the riot. RadioU.
Hudson, are you into the Olympics? I don't think I've ever asked you that. Or
I like the Olympics.
You like to watch it?
I think, because it's just on, and I just like sports, so it winds up.
It
I
fills
winds up
the
watching
void
a bit.
when
it
it's
does.
time. Now, do you prefer summer or winter Olympics?
I think winter has the better top events, because I love, obviously, hockey, and curling at Winter Olympics is great. But Winter Olympics also has a lot of stuff that's really boring, where most of the summer stuff, even just the running, is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's okay. You're going to go with summer then, maybe, or a little bit of both.
It's got the quantity, and the Winter Olympics has the quality.
So we've been waiting for the Summer Olympics. Last summer was supposed to be the Tokyo Olympics, and supposedly that's still a go for this summer in July.
Right.
And they're about ready to start the torch relay on the 25th. But the big question has been about can you go and watch the Olympics? So local agencies in the area in Japan have been, and this was trending yesterday, have been saying that it has been decided that overseas spectators, and when I read that, I was like, what? Oh, you tourists. I was like, what is this word? What are you saying? Do you mean us?
Why do they put it that way?
I don't know why. It really struck me yesterday. I had to read it several times, be like, I think it's tourism. But they're saying that overseas spectators will probably not be allowed to go to the Olympics to watch. You'll have to be a local to be able to go in.
Well, does that seem smart?
It does, and it's not surprising. I mean,
no.
Can you even...
It would be surprising if it was the opposite.
Sure, if they just let everybody
just come along.
And they're saying for COVID, it's obviously the spread of COVID, bringing people from different countries, different variations of COVID. I mean, you're just kind of all bringing them together in one area, and they were very hesitant to have that. So there's not been an official statement by the Olympic Committee.
Yeah.
That probably won't come. I mean, they'll wait till the last minute on that one.
It doesn't really feel like it's up to them, does it? You know, like
you're right.
It's their event, but they can't tell a country that
you're true.
You have to open your borders.
I mean, Japan's government has I believe the final say so, but it does. You know, banning of travel has been a thing, or it's just difficult. If you have to go, would you have to quarantine? Does this though open up to if you're a family of one of the athletes? Are you not allowed to go?
That's a question.
There are just all these questions, but that was trending yesterday for the Tokyo Olympics. So the agencies in those areas are saying that it has been pretty much decided. So like for the torch relay on the 25th, you can't spectate. You can just
unless you're already there anyways.
Yeah, I think you have to be in the prefecture. Like you have to be in that real local area, but you can't travel from anywhere else. And that was yesterday's news.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. But at a certain point, don't you think like all these athletes are already like over 10,000 athletes? What's a few more spectators? You know,
you're right.
Like how much worse could it make it?
You're right. I do understand on that. Yeah, because it would be hard enough just to make sure that the athletes wouldn't be the one that would just spread enough anyways.
Well, at least with an athlete, they have very specific incentives that they're going to have to quarantine and follow the rules. You just bring in spectators from who knows where, and they're just going to do their thing. They're on vacation. They're not there to stay safe.
Vacation, Hudson and Nikki, would be way different than like work. Because here you're like, okay, let's follow the rules and stuff. But when you go on vacation, everybody wants to take a break from everything.
You're in a foreign country. You don't care about the rules. You're swinging your mask around your finger. Woo!
You're right. And I don't want to be the American doing that.
No.
So I don't know. We'll see closer to July what the official answer is. A poll found that 77% of Japanese people did not want international visitors to attend the Olympics, and then 18% in favor of allowing it.
What you're about to hear will live on the internet forever. Sorry, internet. The worst of the Riot podcast.
Collabs are so big right now, and every time someone collabs with Animal Crossing, it seems like it becomes just big news.
Big news to you, that's for sure.
I know, I play. So again, pardon me if not everybody cares. But, Animal Crossing had their big Mario collab. That's been the thing for the last week or so.
Okay.
And then coming up on the 26th, there's the collab with Sanrio.
Okay.
Do you know what Sanrio is?
No.
Hello Kitty stuff.
I should have known.
So all the Hello Kitty characters. So that everybody's waiting for if you're a Animal Crossing Hello Kitty fan.
Uh-huh.
But now you're like, well, let's remove it one more from that. And if you're a Build-A-Bear fan.
No. Wow.
Is that you, Hudson?
It is not.
It is not. Okay, so this
I've never
might not
been
be
rich
for
enough to build a bear.
You've never gone and it's usually like at least one date you go on. You go build a bear.
That's right. Nope, never did it. Never did it as a date.
It is expensive. You can go cheap there. You can try. But then it also makes you look bad if you go and you're on a date and you're building a bear and you're buying the bear and you're like, no, let's go get this cheaper one.
Don't get the add-ons. Don't get the cotton candy smell.
You can't afford that.
No, you don't want that.
So Animal Crossing and Build-A-Bear are collabing with a series of creations that you can do at Build-A-Bear. I'm not sure how Build-A-Bear is working. Like, you probably can go in and safely build a bear.
Right.
Within
the bear needs to wear a mask.
Yeah, like distancing or something. Oh, I wonder if there is masks for your bear.
Has to be.
I bet there
has to be.
Oh, it's kind of cute but sad. But it's kind of cute. So they're doing a collab with Animal Crossing New Horizons collection. They're not giving much details yet, but if you're a fan of New Horizons and you're like, well, I'll buy anything, then the Build-A-Bear collab. They're collecting emails because that means a lot to them. And then you'll be emailed when they have details about when the collection's available.
Well, that sounds kind of cute.
I think so.
Yeah.
You're right, though. It is. I'm going to get the Sanrio packs because it's just like these little cards where you can download the characters.
Okay.
And it's like $6.
And then what? You get Hello Kitty on your island?
Yeah, on your islands.
Okay,
like you'll get fun things with
That's
that.
That's fun.
This, we cannot always afford a Build-A-Bear or all of the collection.
Well, you can't always, but this is a special occasion.
Well, the stimulus thing was,
That's
pushed,
right. What convenient timing.
I know, that's why they're not saying anything else. They were just waiting for those checks to go out so you can afford the collection. So that was the news yesterday. Again, if you're an Animal Crossing fan, there's just a lot of fun stuff going on.
It's too bad, the birthday thing isn't coming up. I wonder if Build-A-Bear is still doing that, where you go and you pay your age or whatever.
Oh, I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, remember those big long lines?
Oh no,
remember that? Wasn't that?
I think that went bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an annual thing they did, and it just always goes bad.
No. I think that went so bad.
They tried it one time.
Because we had a Build-A-Bear here, and you could go in, and I think it was your age or their age of like the Build-A-Bear thing. And people were mad. I think it was a very hot day.
Yep.
And that brings out the worst in people.
Yeah, because I'm sure it was probably Build-A-Bear's birthday.
Yeah.
And then they would say, you can come and pay your age on this day. And so, people taking their 3-year-olds.
It went so bad.
Which would be a great deal.
It's not even their 3-year-olds. They just found young children just to bring it. But I remember it became so bad.
The kids make the bears and then they resell them on eBay later.
That's what they have to do. I mean, that's playing the game there.
Yeah.
But I remember then because they had to offer like coupons because everybody was so mad because they couldn't get through the line.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I remember that.
Yeah.
Build-A-Bear says, please don't remember that, Hudson. You don't even buy bears and you remember that.
It would still be a discount for me. Who am I kidding?
Things are never as bad as they seem, except when it comes to the Riot. Then they're worse. They're always worse. It's the Riot on RadioU.
For TikTok, I mean, I live on there. Like that's become my news. Like your entertainment. It tells me like what shows. It's just bad.
Yeah, there's nothing TikTok can't do.
I know, and it's so short and just wonderful, and I don't have time for anything else. Yeah. But then you realize like 2 hours later you've been watching TikTok for longer than you probably would have watched a movie.
But you could stop if you needed to.
But it's not a problem yet.
No,
so
not.
Don't worry about this. But I thought this was an interesting article. If you're looking for an apartment in your area, obviously with COVID, it has been and is not always the easiest to go and like tour apartments in your areas or to figure out what place you want to live at. And I thought it was interesting that now more people are going to TikTok to find apartments.
Well, that makes a lot of sense because if you go on other sites, usually you just get some pictures that don't look actually, totally real a lot of the time.
They're saying that TikTok is not sketchy enough. So, like a lot of people would use Facebook or Craigslist or just like normal traditional apartment advertising.
Right.
But for Facebook and Craigslist, that's already sketchy. And so you could find yourself in a scam or the place is not, like what you wanted. So what you do is, take TikTok and go to your area and find agencies like real estate agents, companies that are using it now to show you the place you might want to rent.
Yeah, I wonder if you could just search like for your city and then apartments and then see what comes up. And I bet you the popular ones, you could live in a TikTok community of all the people that found their apartments on TikTok.
Yeah, this one place they were interviewing said that at least during COVID, everything has come from TikTok. To have like people actually tour that way, see the whole place, and then they just sign up and they don't go there first. They just get it all through there.
Yeah.
So there's not like sketchy real estate deals yet. You might not, feel like you need to go tour it with like a family member or like for safety reasons, which is sometimes what happens if you're trying to find an apartment.
Yeah.
But there you can just do it all on your phone.
Yeah. Well, let's be clear. One day, it won't take long before the scammers and
it'll go there. Oh,
this bad stuff will get on TikTok. But at the moment, it's still nice because, you go on Craigslist or Facebook, and even if there are the good apartments on there, they're so flooded with all of the bad ones that are, they're not, it's pretty transparent most of the time.
But still. Remember when Facebook Marketplace was fun? Like, for a brief moment, it was drama-free, and then scams started going over there.
Of course.
So use your hashtags or look for hashtags will be the best way to find popular apartments in your area. If you're trying to find a place to move to, look for For Rent, hashtag Realtors of TikTok, and hashtag apartments with your city name at the end. And that's how you can search.
I'm going to have to do some searching.
Yeah,
I don't have to move anytime soon, but I want to see what's out there.
First off, you never know.
Yeah.
And second, it's really popular to like hang out and look at real estate, like on Zillow and a few other places. When you're not interested in moving at all, it's just nice to see how other people have their houses and apartments as well.
I'm on board with that.
Riot Podcast, RadioU.
For fast food, are you into Sonic, or is that like...
I haven't been to Sonic
in a while?
In a long time.
I have to say...
It's not really especially convenient where they're located for me.
There's one down that way.
Yeah.
Which for you guys, you're like, which way? But down that way.
Yeah.
And I have to say... It is way better than it used to be.
Really?
You can sometimes tell like when a restaurant like has an overhaul. And I think they did. Because a couple of times I had been there a long time ago, it was terrible. And I've been there recently a few times, and it's been like amazingly so much better. So I actually appreciate, whether they meant to or not, when the place gets better.
Yeah.
So Burger King and Taco Bell, we're still looking at you.
Yeah.
So.
Don't even. Burger King, it's going to take a while with Burger King.
I think so, too. But Sonic was in the news with the talk about an update to their app, something that's been a part of probably about 1,000 of their locations, and now will be opening up to the rest of the locations. They're saying that the most requested thing during the pandemic was the ability and option to tip on their app or like through their drive-through or through a mobile order to tip the person who'd been helping them with their order.
They're saying people are requested by their employees or the customers?
Employees' families. No, but they say by customers, the ability to tip, especially on the app, since now we don't even go through drive-thrus as much. You just do curbside pickup.
Right, yeah, of course.
So for them, they said that, everybody wanted to know, well, how can you tip, especially during tougher times?
Right.
Wanted to make sure that while they're working, you could give a few extra dollars or tip during your order. So they are going to be making that update to where you can just add a tip at the end of your app order.
Yeah, that is nice if they're telling the truth and people are really requesting it. But I think if people are so committed to tipping, like you figure out a way. Yeah, you're going to figure it out.
But not if you're doing the whole order through the app.
Yeah,
you're not supposed to have any contact then, and they just throw the food at you, and so you're not necessarily maybe as comfortable handing them, especially cash.
Yeah, cash was...
So how can you add the tip? And fast food tipping is almost unheard of.
Yeah.
But
well, that's my whole thing with it is just Sonic has this story that they've come up with. And I like it, but I just feel
doubting as much.
I am really doubting because I really feel like this is a way of like, look, you can give our employees more money, but we don't have to do it.
Yeah, that is something with tipping. That is unfortunate. But you want to make sure the employee gets something, though, and you tip at restaurants if they're providing, certain services with it. So they said that, curbside pickup and other things becoming more common at Sonics across the country. Some places have no tipping policies, so they kind of just wanted to make sure across the board everybody knows that this tipping policy that you can do it is now available.
Yeah, well, and it's certainly nice. Like, I'm not opposed to tipping. I think we
sounds
rely...
like you are.
No, I think we rely way too much on tipping, or not we. Companies rely way too much on tipping. It'd be really nice if it wasn't so necessary.
Well, you can go to a lot of countries and you don't tip.
Right.
It's just you pay
the price. It's weird
that
we do it so much. Mm-hmm. And it feels like we're like, let's tip more when it should be the opposite. It should be, let's have companies pay more, and so that we don't have to rely on people's kindness.
You know, when I read this, I didn't think about that at all. And you're right to say that, but I didn't think so negatively about this.
But all that said, it is good to have the option.
It is.
Because most people probably wouldn't think of tipping their Sonic worker or whatever, but they're working hard just like you would if it was somebody at a waiter or waitress at a restaurant. Mm-hmm. So they're deserving of the tip. It's just you wouldn't think about it. So give people the option. And I know for sure from working in food service that when you give people the option to tip, even if it's just on the screen, it vastly increases tips.
Yeah,
because then they have to say no otherwise, which people don't like to do.
Well, again, Sonic said that it was one of the most requested things from Sonic consumers this past year. Take that for whatever it is. But it's not just Sonic. It's just the talk that this might add tipping at more fast food locations in the future, which maybe it will.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have mixed feelings about it. Because I want people to get paid. I want these fast food workers to get paid. But I don't know. Doesn't it feel like it's just like, well, now the kind people will pay the more, and then there's still going to be videos going around of the bad people that don't tip.
Listen, I'm going to close this story out because I didn't think that much into it. And I'm going to let you decide between you and Sonic or any other place. Yeah. I'm just going to let you decide when you're at that moment if you order food, okay?
Okay, I'm going to think about it. But
that's between you and them.
I haven't gone to Sonic in a long time. And
it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Ideally, I just want to close the story out, and I want to be able to not even think about it anymore.
Well, I know you maybe came across as grumpy with it.
I just want to go and pay for my food.
And that's it.
I don't want to have to think.
I'm also not ordering food with you. If they know that you're coming, they're going to spit in it. It's like, that's Hudson's order. That's not mine. I'll tip on the app.
I'm going to tip.
The Riot with Obadiah and Nikki on Radio U.
Nikki, did you see this guy
in the baby pool?
Spent 24 hours in bean dip in California?
I did. I saw basically just the story of this man and what they call them, the little wading pools or whatever.
It's inflatable.
He was in beans, and that's kind of all that I caught with it.
Well, he was doing it to try to support a restaurant he really likes.
Oh, he's supporting Hudson.
And this is a positive.
This is the opposite
story
of Hudson.
Yeah. He really loves, it's a restaurant called Los Toros Mexican Restaurant that's in Chatsworth in California. And so they were having, I guess, a block party type thing. I don't really know what all that entails, but the restaurant was having a party, and he's like, I'm going to try to support the restaurant. So he sat in a pool of bean dip for 24 hours straight.
Aww.
And also got a tattoo of the restaurant's logo while he was sitting in there.
It's like his favorite place. And they've been having so many problems. And, it looks like maybe even potentially at some point, the problems just lead to closing down.
Yeah, people weren't tipping enough.
Yeah. Hudson. But they were, wanting to show support to kind of get people in the community to go back to these restaurants or at least to pick up or do something. And so that's where the block party thing at the restaurant kind of came about. And he decided he's a stuntman. They keep putting that in there. Like,
I know, that is weird, right? Like,
he's a professional.
He's specially qualified.
I don't know why.
Don't just let some amateur do this.
He doesn't want you to not, he wants to make sure you realize he's a stuntman.
Yeah. I want to know what other stunts he has done.
But
is he jumping out of planes and stuff, or is it more bean dip related things?
This is his biggest stunt to date. But he spent 24 hours in the baby pool, in the bean dip, and he just wanted people to start talking about his favorite restaurant so that it didn't close down.
I have a lot of questions about this.
What's your questions?
Well, one, what is it? I guess he's just trying to draw attention. What is it about him sitting in bean dip that would make people think, I want to eat at this restaurant?
I think no one wants to hear any more of the other news that's been going on. So that I think he figures that this would be the story that everybody would cover, the man sitting in the bean dip.
It is. It's working.
Yeah, how uncomfortable.
Yeah.
For 24 hours, and he's a stuntman.
Yeah.
But I think it just, it drives you there.
Yeah,
Not necessarily makes you grossed out by the bean dip.
It's kind of weird because I don't get it shouldn't make sense that I sit in bean dip and then people want to eat here, but I can't get to the restaurant.
Well, everything
else. But I do
else,
kind of want some bean dip now.
Yeah, but I think everything else is kind of expensive. Like, they're not doing that with the guacamole or the other stuff, so that kind of only leaves bean dip.
It also leads me to another question. What do you think happened to the bean dip at the end of the 24 hours? How would you even dispose of that much bean dip?
I'd pour it down. Like, what's the drain on the side of the road?
Just a storm drain?
Yeah, storm drain.
Don't you think that would cause some problem?
Oh, no. It'd be fine.
Those rats that are down there or whatever.
Thankful.
But we're all going to be paying for it.
Thankful rats. They're like, oh, my gosh, it's raining. It's raining beans. They'd be so excited. Oh, my gosh, I wish we were there for that.
That would be great. Now,
I'm sure they would just hose it away.
My last question. Sitting in a pool of bean dip for 24 hours. What is the bathroom situation?
I bet he had... Because if he had a break, he would still be covered in bean dip.
That's right. That would be tracking it all over the place to get his own special...
maybe there was a porta potty. Yeah, something like
that. Just his own private one.
Maybe he just went in the bean dip. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, right?
I don't know.
24 hours, maybe
Listen,
he just...
You're not supposed to question the stunt man. Just let him do his stunt.
It would just blend right in there anyways, so nobody would know.
As long as he was like, no, don't eat it. Don't touch it. You don't want to touch it.
He had somebody walking up with chips.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's nice that, he was trying his part, and that's what he thought he could do. So the man sitting in the bean dip for 24 hours to help Los Toros Mexican restaurant in Chatsworth. Again, just like looks like a fun community thing, and it looks like it was a nice thing to do.
I hope it works out for them. I hope it's not like he does this and then the restaurant, like people go there is like, wait, this actually isn't good.
That's sometimes hard when something becomes so viral because of something. It gets such an influx of support in the beginning, and then it can die away like really fast. So you almost don't want to become so well known for something like this. Right. It can actually end up hurting you later.
And they could just be potentially overwhelmed.
Yeah,
like they just get so many customers today that they can't even deal with it.
Well, he used all the bean
dip. And then
they
get a bunch of negative reviews on Yelp, and all of a sudden.
People win awards for being the best at things. Are there awards for the worst? Because we have a contender. Worst of the Riot Podcast.
It's good we didn't do this story with Obi because he doesn't do anything with snakes.
Aww.
Like, he hates snakes. It's not like what's that movie, Indiana Jones? Like, it's even beyond that.
Yes, he hates snakes. Did you know JR also not a fan of snakes?
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, yeah, he doesn't like them.
JR, our evening host here at RadioU.
But Alexa has, Lex from the night show, does have a snake, might have multiple ones. I think she got one for her fiance.
Why does she have snakes?
And I can't, her fiance likes them.
Okay.
I know she bought him one as a present.
Aww.
And it's actually named after her, but it's not named Lex. I can't remember what it's named.
See, I don't dislike snakes, but I don't understand the snakes as pets thing. Like, I wouldn't do that, but I also don't hate them.
Yeah, it's kind of cool when you see a snake out in the wild.
But when it's inside, you're like, here's my 20 snakes.
Yeah.
But I also have 3 dogs, so what am I to say?
Right, but at least I always feel with pets, it's weird how, I guess it's just cool to look at.
Yeah.
But because with dogs, you get like companionship out of it.
Sure.
And almost no other pet do you get that. So that's why I don't understand most other pets.
But if you like a snake as a pet, obviously people pay for them. It is still a big money maker. So there is money to be made. But Justin is an individual who bred a special snake. It took him 8 years to try to get this look for the snake to come about, and it was basically just a bright golden yellow and then white for the body color.
Okay.
So he finally had a snake that hatched that ended up, just because of the breeding of it, he had 3 yellow smiley like emoji faces on his scales. So if you look at the snake, it really does look like smiley faces on it.
Yeah, it really does. It's pretty immaculate, actually. He spent 8 years doing that, though?
He did, and this was the only one that's gotten close to... He didn't mean to do the smiley face.
Oh, okay. So he was just trying to get the color scheme.
He just wanted the coloring of the snake to be this way, and the smiley faces just happened to happen.
A happy accident.
Happy accident, that's right. Would you like to know how much the happy accident got him?
It feels like it should be a lot.
$6,000 for the snake.
Is that a lot for a snake?
I think it is. I felt like it was.
It does?
Do you think it should be more?
What if that's only like a few bucks more than a regular snake?
I don't know. Is it a ball python, maybe? I don't know how much those go.
Yeah, they probably don't go for $6,000.
That feels expensive.
That does feel like a lot.
So this, because of the smiley faces, it feels like $6,000 was an extra special amount that he got.
Well, good for him. I guess after 8 years of trying, it's good that not only did it work out, but it worked out so. Or is he like maybe he didn't want to sell it because he worked so hard that he couldn't say no to $6,000.
But no, he wasn't working at the smiley faces.
Right.
That just was, like you said, the happy accident.
Yeah.
He should have been trying to get the golden yellow white snake look down, but I think he was still selling his other stuff.
Is he going to keep trying to make more of
the smiley ones?
Or just of any of the snakes?
No, because this feels like one of those movies where like he was breeding the snakes and then the smiley faces.
A lifelong goal, and then
they turn into frowns. Like one day he wakes up.
It can't be as good the next time.
And then the frowny snake, it comes about, and then like he kills everybody. So like I don't want to mess with that stuff.
Stop the story here while it's still a happy one.
Because I know sometimes like what are we creating? It's a monster.
Giving every novelty food the publicity it so blatantly desires. It's The Riot on Radio U.
This is, Hudson pointed this out, this is not the best title for an article, but we're getting close to the nicer weather. Everybody wants to shed the winter weight.
Beach body, and now we're coming out of like a year of quarantine too. Yeah. So
let's just say everybody probably has about a good 10 to 15 pounds more than maybe you would like to lose before summertime.
Of course. So getting back out into the world.
This article, well, you're letting them see your body now because we can't wear activewear as much anymore.
Yeah, it's
all
not
the layers.
People can see your bottom half on Zoom or not on Zoom.
If you can go out. So this article is talking about if you're ready and you want to start losing weight. The part that Hudson hates is the line, ask your partner to go on a diet.
I don't think that would work very well for you.
I don't think they mean it like in a mean way.
Yeah.
But they're saying
there is no non-mean way.
I know, right? They're basically saying that researchers have found that they were following about 150 family members on a certain diet, and they said that dieters lost about 15 pounds at about 24 months with exercising and with going through the diet's rules and stuff. But they said that they lost more if someone else in the household was on a diet that was stricter than what you were going for. By way of them, like their food planning, you eating what they're eating, being motivated, working out together, them having a stricter diet plan meant that you would end up losing more weight than if you were just trying to diet on your own in a household.
Right. So as long as you're not on the strictest diet in the house, you're still going to be all right.
Well, that might be helpful. That way you're not talking yourself kind of out of it.
Right.
Because sometimes you can pick too strict of a diet and then you give up. It's just not...
Yeah.
It's not actually possible. But if others in the household, like your roommates or something, are on a diet and also trying to make changes, then you're probably more likely to be able to stick with it and actually lose a little bit more weight than if you're trying by yourself.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just makes sense because one of the things they say you're supposed to do if you really want to be successful on the diet is when you start the diet, go through, throw out all the food that's in your house that isn't on the diet, because you don't want to have that temptation so easily there for you. So if somebody else in your house is also on a stricter diet, then there goes all that food.
Some of these numbers,
a lot less temptation.
They say that relatives, if it's your parents or like your brother and sister going through that, lost an average of 2.75, so almost 3 pounds after 1 year.
Okay.
Just like 3 pounds.
How is that even?
What is even that?
Yeah. That's within the margin of error, isn't it?
That could be like a fluctuation after like a really bad weekend.
You weigh them all the next weekend and they gained 3 pounds.
Well, is that what everybody has to lose? Are we really
and they made a whole article out of this? If somebody else in your house is going on a diet, you could lose 3 pounds a year.
Wow. Like, I feel like there might be more to lose than that, but you don't want to say anything.
Yeah, the researchers, they're really trying to push. Like, they want to feel like all that time work they put in for this study didn't go to waste.
I was all into it until the result was a 3-pound weight loss over a year.
But are they saying that, like, say there's one person in your house that's doing keto or whatever, they do the diet. Everybody else in the house doesn't have to do keto, but just by virtue of that one person doing keto, you could lose 3 pounds, which is more than you would lose ordinarily.
Yes, more like you just didn't gain weight,
right?
But like 3 pounds in a year, whoa, slow it down.
Right.
But if you don't have anything to lose,
hard to argue with those results.
Yeah, like that is stunning results, and we're all aboard this diet. But no, it really is true. It's just saying, like, if you want to lose some weight before the summer, researchers has found that it's best if you have someone else in your house or your roommates. They're on a diet as well, or they're a part of the process.
You don't want to do it alone, that's for sure, because it does make it so much harder. And but yeah, if you do it with other people, I bet you the person that was doing the diet lost more weight than the people that
I don't even want to hear it. When I saw 3 pounds in a year,
3 pounds.
Like, will you just stop it? The article is just making us feel bad.
Yeah,
if that's
really.
all you're going in to lose that weight, then
maybe that's just a nice attainable goal for this year. Let's all set out.
Don't tell people that.
By 2022,
nope.
You can lose 3 pounds.
It doesn't work because we've all gained more than 3 pounds, right?
Well, just take it 3 pounds at a time.
3 pounds at a time.
You lose 3 pounds a year. By the time you're on your deathbed, you're going to be in such good shape.
You're just going to be bikini ready by then. And
you'll be 90 years old and looking so
my goodness.
thin.
Sometimes I just don't understand things, and the 3 pounds in 1 year was one of it.
Yeah, we should have read that part first.
That's all right. Every bit helps, and it all's good.
Obadiah and Nikki tried their hardest, and that's what really matters. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
This is a movie that I think I'm interested in. Details yesterday came out about a movie called Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, I saw the title.
I've never heard this story.
I saw it going around, and I was like, that's just a name, right? Like, it's not actually has anything to do with the movie, but it looks like it does.
Well, it does. And this is not a story that we've heard before, but it is a bear back in, it's the bluegrass conspiracy era. Basically I think it was in the 80s, 1985.
Yep.
So there was Andrew Thornton, which was a Lexington narcotics officer. He turned into a drug smuggler. He was in a plane, and I think he had to parachute out. He died that way.
Okay.
But he was getting rid of about $15 million in cocaine. And the cocaine landed in, like, the woods or something. And this bear ate the cocaine and had it in his system and died.
Oh, my gosh.
So the bear was, I think, 175 pounds. So it wasn't a huge bear, but he was found a lot later, and he was, what's the word? Is it taxidermy?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So what do you say he was taxidermied?
Taxidermy. Yeah, I guess.
And he had all this, cocaine in his body. So it became this legend of this drug bear because he ate so much of it. So there's this whole thing in Kentucky and all this stuff in bluegrass.
Like an urban legend type, like a Mothman situation, except the bear was real at one point. It was real,
yeah. So again, I've never heard of the cocaine bear story, but it's well known enough that they're going to make a movie out of it, and filming for it will probably start in this summer.
I wonder how they're, what the perspective of the story will be. You know what I mean?
Is it the bear?
Yeah, right. Are we going to just watch the bear and
what's that? It's snowing.
As it spirals into, goes on I don't know, I guess.
A bender?
I don't know a thing about drugs. I don't. So
well,
does cocaine make you trip? I don't think it does. That's not what it does.
It'd be like a party bear is what they're calling it. So he had one really big weekend, and then it was probably so much that he died from it. And it looks like the cocaine bear is on display somewhere. I think in Lexington at what they call, at least this picture says the Kentucky Fun Mall. I don't know what that is. I feel like I need to learn more about this. Is that
posted, like the bear is there as a warning to the kids? Like, don't get into drugs or you'll wind up like this bear?
No, but it's
taxidermied in a fun mall.
If you eat the cocaine that you find in the woods, you're not supposed to. This is the people, they're making Cocaine Bear the movie, which... Never thought I would say.
Yeah.
But it's the people that made the Lego movie.
Oh, well, that's a natural fit.
So they're going to do it too. And again, they think that might start this summer. But there's a lot of, it's not just about the bear. Really, it's probably more about the drug smuggling that went with it. But
you know what it's going to be? It's going to be just like Tom and Jerry, where they put Tom and Jerry on the title, and then you watch the movie, and there's a little bit of Tom and Jerry, but it's mostly the hotel people. And this one's going to be, they put Cocaine Bear on the title.
But it's supposed to be the smugglers.
And there's a little bit of Cocaine Bear, but it's a lot of the drug smuggling guy.
I'm sorry, but did you watch Tom and Jerry?
I did watch Tom and Jerry.
Why'd you watch Tom and Jerry? Because it was free and you have HBO Max.
What else am I going to watch?
Anything.
But it was new. And I had a whole weekend.
It doesn't. Okay. How was it though?
Well, I didn't have as negative thoughts as some, but like I said, they say it's Tom and Jerry, but they should have called it Hotel Employees. They should have called it Chloe Grace Moretz,
on
the movie
scale of
featuring Tom and Jerry.
Bear to Cocaine Bear, party wise, like where did it slide in between that? Right in the middle.
Yeah, like it's okay. It is really watchable. It just doesn't meet your expectations because you think it's going to be Tom and Jerry palling around, or not exactly palling around, like fighting and whatever. And there's a little bit of that, but it's not as much Tom and Jerry
as you think.
And so it's just kind of like if you took Tom and Jerry out of the movie and just the story of everybody else in the movie, would you watch it? Of course not. But it feels like they had a different movie, and then they're like, we can put Tom and Jerry into this and make this movie watchable. And that's what they did.
I don't mean this in a mean way, but even with Tom and Jerry in it, I didn't know it felt watchable.
Yeah, you didn't grow up on Tom and Jerry?
I did not, but I also didn't grow up on the Cocaine Bear story, but I think that sounds fascinating, and I'd probably watch that too.
Where do you go when you need someone to listen to your problems and give you a big hug? Not here. Obviously, this is The Riot on Radio U.
Yesterday, the $1.9 trillion coronavirus package, and then some.
Yeah.
It's never just coronavirus in the packages, just to remind everybody that. You're like, how much money are we getting? It's not. It goes to a lot of other stuff. But that was passed yesterday. So now everybody is asking today the big question of when will the money come to everybody?
Yeah. And, the first article I clicked on doesn't have an answer. It literally says, here's when you might get your stimulus check. And then it goes on to not answer that question whatsoever. But what I had seen before this actually passed was that if it, like on this timeline where it's now been approved, we're thinking like next week starting maybe Wednesday.
That's what I've heard. Like Wednesday
St. Patrick's Day will be a big party.
That'll be big. They want to
party.
hit you before Thursday and Friday. So that, even though, what was it, the one at the end of December, early January? They say like Wednesday, but that means your bank might not put it in your account for a few days.
Yeah, even until after the weekend.
Yeah, so you might get it then like next Friday or even the following Monday. Because I remember my bank put up this notice like, don't ask us. It is what it is. You're not getting it until Friday or Monday. It ended up coming to me earlier, but they're just like doing a blanket statement for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think they'll start at least depositing or working with the bank starting next week, Wednesday.
And of course, it's always like the early lucky ones will be Wednesday, but for most people, it won't be that good. But I know I was one of the early lucky ones last time,
you
too.
Were?
Yeah.
Well, it becomes this Facebook game of like everybody just goes, I got it.
Yeah. and then there's the community of people that are so upset that they haven't gotten it yet. And
man, they're probably mad because they maybe didn't even get the December one either.
Yeah. I know there are some people, even though the IRS has definitely said we've sent them all out.
Yeah.
There's, of course, still people out there that haven't gotten them.
So this goes with the $600 that people got in December. So the total that you're getting would be with the extra $1,400 that will equal the $2,000.
Right, that they were talking about initially way back when.
They're saying most people, like in our listening audience, I think we're all pretty much probably around the same.
Yeah.
bracket. I don't think any of us disqualified
Right. Yeah.
for these stimulus
We
package.
haven't done well enough
I
to
think
where we don't get stimulated.
It's safe to say I don't need to tell you about the limits on it because we're all under it.
Yeah.
So we should get the $1,400 per person. If you're married, you each get that. Man, if you got dependents, if you got kids, you're going to rake in that $1,400 per dependent.
Somebody who had triplets or whatever before last March, they're like, hey, it's finally panning out.
If you are an option for one of those shows where it's 15 kids.
Oh, yeah.
And you could make all this money back with that. But it is $1,400 as well for a dependent. So
what are you going to spend it on?
I try to go into it. I'll just keep telling myself every day until it gets in there. Let's save it. Let's put it in a savings account. So I don't
that's what you need to do.
I don't touch it because that's a pretty good amount of money and it is tempting.
Yes.
But I don't even know what I'd be tempted with.
Yeah, I don't either. What would you spend? Because I know with the last one, my thing was, I know I need to do some work on my car.
Yeah.
Which $600, that all went to the car. Now I don't need to do work on my car. So I don't have anything pressing and responsible to do with it.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know what to do.
Well, do you feel comfortable just saving it, not doing anything with it? Or are you the type of person that has to do something?
I know I need to put some of it in savings.
Yeah.
And even still, $1,400, you should just, if you can, you should just save all of it because one day you'll need it. And I'm not going to do that. Let's be honest.
So if anybody has any ideas of any fun things that Hudson should get into before next week when they start to deposit. But for everybody else, if you don't have something,
I wonder,
check.
most of us did not get to take a big fun vacation at all last year.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of people, this is going to their vacation fund. I
knew so many people that took, and I don't even do vacation funds, but apparently that's a thing for a lot of adults to do. But I just saw them spend it on other things, like the blow-up pools and the bikes and things.
But that's what it went to last year. Yeah. That's what is important this year. You don't need that pool because you already bought it. And you can leave your house again, hopefully, so we can go do other fun things. But
we're all in the age bracket where we're not getting the vaccine, so anytime yet.
Yeah, but who cares about that anymore? You know what I mean? Everybody's well, the old people have been vaccinated, so it's safe now. I was never going to get sick anyways. Well, I think the attitude towards I've got to do my
safety
part has really gone out the window for a lot of people that even were concerned a while ago.
That's true, especially when someone hands you $1,400. You're like, all right, I'll be outside
I'm not just going to spend it in here at home.
Yeah, you're right, though. Vacation when it's the appropriate time.
Right.
Or wherever you could go that works out.
You go to Florida. Florida's going to be loving this. Disney World.
Tourism.
Yeah, give them more money. Come on.
This is the worst of the riot on RadioU.
So COVID has changed the filming style for movies and TV shows. And one of them, they were talking about the CW's Walker, which is Walker, Texas Ranger.
Okay.
Which was that old show with Chuck Norris.
Right.
And I think Walker is currently on. It started on the CW.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that they were rebooting it.
Yeah.
But after I heard that they were doing that,
You stopped
completely
hearing about
lost track about it. Yeah.
He just doesn't care about it.
No.
And it has the one guy that was on Supernatural, the long running show on the CW.
I've heard of the show. I couldn't tell you anybody on that show, so that means nothing to me.
Hudson hears a lot about things, but doesn't go any further than that.
My class, even if I haven't heard about something, I'll just say.
You've heard about it?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
Well, did anybody watch Walker, Texas Ranger? The original one?
Yeah, right.
Because this article makes it seem like this was a thing that maybe they did a lot, but spitting on the show... So was
it's
spitting
such a trademark of Texas Ranger?
I don't know if it was, but they're saying that in the Walker show, that's been a problem because the characters will spit in a cowboy sort of way.
Okay.
And with COVID rules and stuff, you're not allowed to have saliva.
Okay.
So basically you can't be like, it's changed the filming style of like, you can't do hand-to-hand combat. You can't do fighting styles like that.
Yeah, right.
Kissing has changed. Scenarios like that.
Right.
And spitting for the show, they have gone to doing a CGI replacement of spit. When someone spits on the show, it's not actually spitting anymore. They're adding that afterwards.
That is... It's really amazing that is so ingrained in the show.
Yeah.
That they've,
if you're like, hey, that's CGI, they're not actually spitting anymore on the new show for Walker because they're not allowed to film that way.
I wonder if this is a thing like with animals. Mm-hmm. They used to you would have like trained lions and stuff in the movies, and then eventually between being able to CGI them in and it looking good enough, and they don't want to be cruel to the animals.
They don't want to deal with it.
They've just completely gone to CGI, basically. Will that happen with the spit? Will it just be like, well, it's unsanitary anyways, and we can make the CGI look good enough to where you can't tell, so let's just always do it? But it feels like that'd be more expensive.
I don't know if that adds to the cost of the show, but they were pointing out for Walker, that show, that the spitting has been something they've had to work around, and CGI was the workaround for it. They also brought out the SWAT show, and for that show, they've had to change the fighting style of it, because normally when someone would fight, they'd fight like touching each other, like hand to hand, and they're not allowed to do that anymore with actual
they fight
people.
From a distance.
Well, did you ever see, it was last summer, I think, everybody made fun of the soap opera that had a kissing scene. And so when you were looking at it...
Hold on. I'm going to stop you right there. No, I did not see the soap opera last summer.
You heard about it.
I did hear about it,
But you haven't seen it? But it was a dummy. It was a mannequin. And so when they did the shot from behind, they could see the back, and then the guy was like kissing the back.
Okay.
The thing, but it was a mannequin. It wasn't a real person.
Yeah.
And so it looked like it was a living person, and then it became real stiff, and like you could kind of tell. But that was their way around the COVID rules.
Yeah.
So...
The Riot, not everyone's fan.
I wonder whose idea this was.
RadioU.
The waking up part might be a little harder for everybody come this Sunday morning, and more importantly, throughout next week, because it takes a few days to kind of really take a toll. But we're moving into daylight savings time this weekend.
Yes.
So the clocks go forward an hour.
Right.
So we're losing an hour of sleep.
Yes, and that also means it's a reminder to check your batteries and your smoke detectors.
And change your clocks.
Yes. Yes.
You have something to do real late Saturday night. I always do it then.
Yeah. But do you ever... I always feel now with the way phones are that I never need to change my clocks except for
the oven.
It's your car, your oven, and your microwave.
That's
and I
about
never
it.
do the oven and the microwave. The car I eventually get around to like a month after daylight saving time.
Well, it's probably fine because you never did it in the fall, so you're evening
it
out.
It eventually
this weekend.
evens out.
It does. You just have to give yourself some time.
I think if things go according to plan, maybe we won't have to deal with that anymore.
They say this every time.
They do.
And it never passes. They are trying to advance a bipartisan proposal. It's called the Sunshine Protection Act, with Republicans and Democratic senators who are trying to make daylight savings time permanent.
Right.
So what we go into would be what would stay.
Yes. So we would have the sun, like we'd set our clocks forwards this Saturday night, and then we'd stick with it. So the sun in the winter would still set at 5 or whatever, like at the earliest, but the sun wouldn't rise until 8 sometimes.
Now, we always just say we hate it because of the hassle of like your body clock changing and stuff, but there's some other reasons for this, and I guess it kind of makes sense. They say that if we stayed with daylight savings time, it would be improvements for our physical and mental well-being, less crime, and it would save energy. So what they say is...
crime, I don't really know
it's more
the tie-in.
daylight. It's more daylight. So crimes are less likely to happen when it's light outside.
When it's light outside?
Yeah, that is a proven thing.
I guess if you added on daylight to the end of the day, people aren't committing crimes in the early morning before the sun comes up.
Not that we know of.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you stayed in DST, it would reduce car crashes, pedestrian accidents.
Yes, that's the one I've heard a lot. Where
it would be normal driving hours with the same amount of light. So when you drive during the other times and it's darker out, that can lead to more accidents. It would reduce the risk for cardiac issues, stroke, seasonal depression, reduce the number of robberies by 27%.
Yep.
Boy, they're throwing everything in.
Yeah. I really feel like they're stretching to come up with a lot of these things that are maybe scientific, kind of. Mm-hmm. But at the same, you don't need to make all of that. Just say it's really dumb that we switch our clocks twice a year. It's so unnecessary.
Add more to it. But they also say, I'm not kidding when I say they throw everything in. It'll reduce childhood obesity.
Really?
Because you're out more later playing, losing weight.
Yeah, actually, I guess. It's possible.
Won't have to use as much electricity each day because it stays lighter out. You don't have to turn your lights on as much. So that's what they're trying to do. Again, a bipartisan effort to not have time changes anymore, to stay with daylight savings time. But until then, you're going to have to lose an hour this weekend and you'll move your clocks forward.
But I guess the idea is they hope that they can get this done before daylight savings time would end, which is what, November something?
Sure they would. Again, they've talked about this.
This is bipartisan, right? This is finally something that enough people on both sides agree on.
In the Sunshine Protection Act to be like, but we're also paying for this and that and this
you're right.
and that.
They'll worm something in.
We're paying for sunshine for this. And we don't get it. So
it's not good enough to just solve one problem.
It creates a billion more, but a lot of people would like to stop seeing us change time.
Thanks for listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Oh no, I missed it. Do it again.
You can hear us live every day on the RadioU network through the RadioU app or at riot.radiou.com.
Here, Hudson, bury your face in this.